Our story begins long ago. But before we dive into our tale, let's take a minute to see what you think of when you think of e-learning. So if you would, go ahead and log into Menti.com and enter the code, and we're going to create a word cloud together. If you would, pop a few words into the form on your screen and on the question of what you think of when you hear the word e-learning. Digital, boring. Independent learning, interactive, flexibility. Yes, I love these. Online. Yes. These are great. Thank you so much. Empowerment. Yes. Independence, flexibility. Asynchronous. Yes. Self-paced. This is great. Thank you so much. When I hear the word e-learning, I've come to think about evolution. And that's where our story begins, with the idea of evolution. I've come to believe that e-learning is the future of corporate training because e-learning is rooted in our corporate, our collective past as a species. To understand what I mean, let's consider a comparison between our learning technologies. Oral learning was our first learning technology. It's the way we're biologically wired to learn. This earliest learning was active, social, collaborative, and ongoing within our environment. Many of the things that you all put there, it's independent, self-paced. I've tried to represent that dynamic learning in this visual on the left. As I hope you'll see in a minute, this description of oral learning sounds a lot like e-learning. Book learning is passive, isolated, competitive, and generally reading is dissociated from both literal subject matter and practice. I've tried to represent that old world in the middle. And you can see there's plenty of the old world here behind me. I love the old world, and I love the new world too. The way we engage with our environment is now through work. With the addition of e-learning into a training program, and I want to emphasize that, the addition of e-learning into a training program, we enter into a new world where we can learn within our environment. On the right in the visual is my representation of e-learning, where I'm trying to illustrate how e-learning allows us to experience learning as active, social, collaborative, and ongoing within our environment, the way of learning for which we're adapted. You can hopefully see how the oral learning and e-learning have something in common, distinct from book learning. And if it's done well, to speak to that boring point, it's exciting, it's interactive, it's fun. I think e-learning offers a return to our indigenous learning process, native to our biology, evolved over millennia as we interacted and learned and responded to our dynamic environments. This similarity between our innate learning process and e-learning makes us prefer e-learning, especially video and blended learning. Maybe the active, multisensorial experience that is involved in e-learning is the new old way of learning. Certainly, traditional learning's emphasis on memory works against our innate neurology. By some estimates, we forget 70% of what we learn within 24 hours. That's rough. Trying to keep the information lodged in our heads can make for an unpleasant learning experience. With e-learning, remembering is no longer the goal. On-demand training, literally at hand, means we can learn by doing. This is a much better learning experience for us. E-learning can return us to a learning experience aligned with our naturally active learning processes, situated, social, continuous, self-directed. So let's return to our companies. One company makes no changes. They have a strong traditional training program with some great classroom trainers. Program launched around 2017. The other company has a strong program as well, but given all the recent changes, they're beginning to think about pivoting their training into the new world, the digital age of learning.